another episode of the Higher Level Podcast. So this week it's just James, Doolan and myself. And obviously we're just coming off the back of a massive UFC pay-per-view over in Australia, Perth. One that seemed like it was under-promoted a bit. I think there was too much promotion going on with slap fighting, it seemed like.
Aye, very weird considering the magnitude of the main event. Champion versus champion, probably the best two fighters in the sport right now. Although by all, I don't know what the pay-per-view numbers are, but sold out and stuff. I think Australia must be one of the markets like similar to the UK. Like you can put a show on there with just about any card and sell it out. But it did seem there wasn't a lot of hype about it, which was weird considering how big a fight it was.
It's two guys that are pound for pound 1 and 2, and no question they're in their prime. Volkanovski seems to just be hitting new levels every fight, and obviously Islam is, by all accounts, one of the best we've ever seen. But then again, the Australian market, if you look at the British market versus the Australian, just geographically the size of the country versus ours.
Aye. They've had some big shows out there as well, mind. I think they've done about 55,000 for a fighter there. I think it's a Ronda Rousey fight maybe, but they get behind it over there.
And it was, I mean, obviously there was a lot of good fights in the card. We're only going to speak about the co-main and main tonight, so we've got a few other things I want to go over with Scottish guys fighting. But, I mean, based on the card delivered, look how quickly the card went as well. It was a good card.
Aye, it looked like it. That's usually an indicator of how good the card is when it does go kind of rapid like that.
And it's kind of weird, right? though. So you've got the main event, obviously Volkanovski challenging for 155 with a pound for pound ranking hanging over the fight as well. And then the co-main, basically you've got Volkanovski's, depending on how this fight goes, he ultimately lost. But then you look at the co-main and they're basically, it's an interim title for Volkanovski's belt at 145. So kind of setting his next fight up potentially as well. And we'll talk about the Emmett Yair fight. And first of all, I think with Josh Emmett as well, he seems like he's an underappreciated guy for what he's been doing.
I think he's put a good run together. I think the thing with him is he's not. I think he was actually matched with. I think his name was mentioned with Stevie a while back. It might have been when Emmett first came to the UFC. So I remember looking at him, and back then he was predominantly a wrestler. He was obviously a team alpha male guy, but he was more a wrestler with a big right hand. And if you look at him now, hardly wrestles anymore. He's just circling about on the outside looking for that perfect right hand. And to his credit, he gets it more often than not. Like done Michael Johnson with it after getting kind of lit up with Johnson for a while and stuff like that. So he's a good fighter, man. But he's very, very basic. But his style and even the size, he's like for somebody who used to fight lightweight, he's not a massive featherweight. And Rodriguez was a bit bigger and stuff. But I picked Rodriguez to win that fight, and it was basically just what he got. He could kick free, he would kick bits off of me. Like when somebody's using that lateral movement, the way that Emmett does, he's always side to side and switching stance and coming in and on funny lines and stuff like that. And one of the better ways to deal with that is just to kick him. And Rodriguez kicks well off both legs, kicks hard. I think he's got a taekwondo background to him, but he's adapted. He's kicking, and he seems to be able to kick like that. He's kicked like that for 15 minutes. And what I think that's forcing Emmett to do is obviously try and get the fight to the ground to get past the kicking, because he wasn't getting past the kicking with just that big right hand that he's got. And then obviously it plays into Rodriguez has got a very dangerous guard. I've seen him submit guys before and stuff like that. It's a weird style that Yair Rodriguez has got. It's similar to a guy back in the day called Miguel Torres, who his whole kind of philosophy was I'm going to throw hard punches and kicks, and the only way you'll be able to deal with that is by taking me down. And then he had a crazy aggressive guard game. He's like, what a brilliant bottom game, submission wise. He would tie you up and elbow you and sweep you and stuff like that. And Rodriguez has got a wee bit of that about him. So it was a good fight, man. I think Rodriguez looks great now. Like he looks like he's consistent and he's found the way he wants to take his game in and stuff. So he looks like he's going to be one worth watching. I think he obviously lines up him versus Volkanovski next, which will be an interesting fight.
And I think as well, if you look at Rodriguez, if you look at some of the fights he had, so for example, like the Frankie Edgar, you can see the progression in him. And during the fight, it's obviously, don't get me wrong, Emmett, that first round, they caught him and he was landing some, he got him down, landing some good grounded pound, but that body shot seemed to be there all day for Rodriguez.
Aye, that looks like something he's added to his game. I think it'll sound weird, this, but I think the Frankie Edgar fight's probably been the best thing that's ever happened to Rodriguez. Because he's been a different fighter since it. You know what I mean? He's probably went away and fixed stuff, and you can see the improvements he's made from that fight, and you can't see him losing like that ever again now, especially at that weight. So it looks like he's coming into his prime now. So it'll be interesting with him and Volkanovski. I don't know when they'll make that fight, but it'll be interesting. I think it'll be a good fight.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to the main event, there's so much to cover in it. First of all, I think you've just got to say what a fight it was. It's a great fight.
Yeah, it's one of the best fights I've seen in a while. Technically, like it's like a proper coaches fight. Do you know what I mean? It's like you watch it and there's stuff in it for both guys that you can like we'll flip wee bits of their fights, and we've got a couple of group chats and stuff like that, and you'll put them in the group chat and you've got look at this and do you know what I mean, and send it to people. And there was some really good stuff with both guys in it. I kind of thought it would be like that because both of the guys are technically brilliant. They're both very good athletes and stuff, and they're smart fighters. They adapt and stuff, and you could see both of them doing that during it. That dynamic where Islam's striking looked much better than what people were giving him props for, and Volkanovski wrestling was better. But if you remember when Volkanovski first came through the ranks at the UFC, he was a better wrestler anyway. He was always running guys to the fence and taking them down. It was just like he revisited some of it, but it was definitely a good fight. I hope the rematch, it should be interesting to see what they did differently the second time. Yeah,
with Volkanovski, there was a lot of comparison with him and Chad Mendes. And Volkanovski was a national champion at wrestling in Australia. I'm not saying that's the same as being a champion in Dagestan or Russia or something like that, but it just seems to be getting, and it's not like he's really young, but it just seems to be getting better.
He's smart, man. I think he's one of the. He looks like he's a hard worker. You see the videos of him and stuff like that, and some of the workouts and stuff that they're doing is crazy. But at UFC level, they're all hard workers. Do you know what I mean? Everybody there's a hard worker. But he might be the smartest fighter in the sport. It changes from fight to fight. There's like a very, very linear progression of his style. Maturing. If you go back and see, if you watch all his fights in chronographical order, you'll see him adapting and changing, and he's about as close to the best fighter we've probably seen right now. Like he's so well rounded. He's hard to submit. He doesn't really get hit much. Like I know Islam hit him with some shots and stuff there, but he came out it unmarked. He doesn't get hit with a lot. He's got a very, very deep kind of process to everything he does, whether it's his footwork, his fakes, and just blending all his shit together. You know what I mean? He's everything that you should kind of aspire to be as a modern MMA fighter. He's almost like in some ways like a more developed version of GSP, where he can do everything. But he can do. GSP never had the depth to his striking that Volkanovski's got, and Volkanovski's maybe not got the same depth to some of his grappling as GSP had, but he's the most well-rounded guy in the sport there, I think.
Yeah, and it's small things in the fight as well. Just like see that awful punch, that low kick he was landing.
Yeah.
And that should. Do you think, see that low kick? Because I mean, he definitely damaged Islam's leg and compromised it. Do you think that then plays into how effective he is against Islam's grappling?
I think you definitely kind of cover the distances fast and stuff when your legs are compromised like that. Like you can't even just push off the mat the same. Yeah. And it takes away mobility. It's like it's a very simple strategy that if the guy's fairly mobile or if he covers distance fast, just boot his legs off. Like we talk about it in the gym. It's like just let his tires down. Just like just the calf kick or the leg kicks and just blast away at them. But it definitely played a part. It was interesting. Like both of them, obviously. I think the thing with it is both of the guys come in very well prepared for each other.
Yeah,
you could see it, and sometimes guys, even at that level, like they're beyond world class level. They guys, UFC is no longer like just because you're in the UFC, you're no longer like a world class MMA fighter anymore. You're maybe just the best guy in a region. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah,
once you're in that top 10, you're obviously world class. But these guys are almost a level above that. It's like elite level. It's like one step above the rest of the guys in the world. And you could see like that they're obviously both for very good camps, because sometimes these guys will not come in prepared for each other. They'll just do what they normally do. They'll not change much up. But you could see in that fight, both guys were extremely well prepared for each other. As Islam came in with a counter with a knee, he was throwing the long knee quite a bit to stop Volkanovski coming into that space in front of him with the open stance. And then if you look at the scrambles and stuff on the ground, Volkanovski's stuffing the head and he was coming through, taking like tight waists and belly whizzers and stuff like that and getting back to his feet. So they were very well prepped for each other. I bet the camp would have involved a shit ton of drilling and just positional stuff, and they both executed on the night as well, which is it's no easy to do.
And in terms of the fight and the result, obviously there's a lot of different things going about. There's some people saying it's a robbery, which I absolutely don't think it was. I think it was an extremely close fight, and to me anyway, I've only watched the fight once, but it was I felt it was a difficult fight to score. Really difficult. I think it was just a hard fight to score. Obviously at the end of the fight, Volkanovski's on top, raining down blows, but looking at the fight overall, did you feel the decision was right, or how did you score the fight? Have you even had a chance to watch it again?
I've watched it twice.
Right.
I didn't think it was that hard to score, to be honest. I scored it 3-2 to Islam, which is the same way that Ben Cartledge and David Lefebvre scored it. There was another judge I think scored it more, but I think he had it 4-1, but I scored it 3-2 to Islam. I think they both clearly won 2 rounds each. The deciding round is round 2, where they both hurt each other. And if you watch it, Volkanovski hurts Islam first. He drops him, and Islam drops these and shoots straight away and gets safe. But when you watch it back, it wasn't actually that clean a shot he happened with. It kind of hits him on the gloves. So it looks more like he's been hit and he's decided, I'm going to wrestle here. Instead, he's been dropped and hurt and then decides to panic wrestle. Whereas the round kind of flips later on, where he starts landing the knees. Islam starts piecing him up a wee bit, maybe about a minute left in round 2, and these shots are a wee bit more hurtful than what Volkanovski had done earlier in the round. But I think I thought it was clear, like a clear 3-2. There's no the robbery thing in that is no. I think one of the things that's played up was, if you look at the betting odds before it, I think Islam was a massive favourite. He was like quite a heavy favourite, and that's always going to happen when you've got a guy coming up a weight to fight a guy like the bigger dude, especially quite a dominant fighter like him. So I think sometimes you get like that challenger bias, where people were expecting Islam just to run through him. If you didn't know what you're watching, they thought that, and then when it's a wee bit closer than what you were anticipating, it's easy for you to score it the other way. Do you know what I mean? So I think there was a lot of that going on, but I thought the 3-2 was pretty obvious.
See, I would say, right, so I'm coming from obviously a different perspective for you, because you're definitely seeing things in the fight that I don't see, obviously, because who you are, your experience and that, which I obviously will go. So, and the thing you're saying about the bias, that's probably true as well, because I had my expectations going into the fight, and as good as I thought Volkanovski was, I thought the size was going to be a massive, massive factor. And I think that's probably why I found it harder to score. Just because there are things you'll see that I definitely won't see. And I think that's probably 99% of people watching the fight are going to be like that.
I think so, man. That thing in the second round, the first time I watched it, I actually thought it was more a draw. I thought the second round could have been a 10-10, but it's actually in the replay. When you watch the replay, you see it. And then when I watched it the second time, I was like, no, it's definitely a 3-2. But it was a good fight, man. There was a very obvious size difference there as well. Like, I know Volkanovski's weighed in at 154 pounds, and then if you've seen the state of Islam making weight, he looked in a bad way at the weigh-in. So it would be interesting to see what they walked into the cage at. There would have definitely been a size difference to Islam, I think.
I don't know. I think you could. I mean, that was easy to see. Because it's not like Islam's a small lightweight. You know, I mean, Islam could probably easy fight at welterweight and be a top welterweight. Kind of like Khabib could have been even massive, and obviously Volkanovski, he's a wide, stocky build, but you wouldn't imagine putting it lightweight would have been
Nah, he would have done that. He'd have still cut weight and stuff, but I would imagine that there's maybe 15, 20 pounds difference on the night. I think he's gone up to challenge for the lightweight belt, which was fine. I found it a bit weird that Islam challenged the guy down a weight, like challenged a featherweight and no challenged the guy a weight up. Do you know what I mean? It was very weird when he done that, but I think the pound for pound thing's a load of shite, to be fair. But I think if you wanted to find out who was the better guy, you should have matched him at 150 pounds. So just be like, right, Volkanovski, you got 5 pounds, in Islam you come down 5, but he's never making 150. But so there's always going to be a size advantage there for Islam. But I think the fact that people know that as well, and he's not capitalised on it by being a bit more dominant, might be a factor in why people are blaming, like, oh, it was a robbery and shit like that. But it was a clear 3-2 for me.
Volkanovski, I think, has come out of the fight probably better out of the two. He's probably not lost anything coming out of that fight.
Nah, it's not done his stock any harm whatsoever. I think he's still the best fighter in the world, to be fair, because there is weight classes for a reason, and if a couple of things in that fight changed, then Volkanovski could have won it. Like, he could definitely win it. Like I said, it'd be interesting to see a rematch just to see how he adapts. Because if you look at Volkanovski when he's had the fights with Holloway, he adapts really well all the time. He comes back better. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes again. But I don't imagine Islam will want a rematch. I don't think he'll want anything to do with it.
No, I don't think so. I can't see it. And the other thing with pound for what does pound for pound mean? Does pound for pound no mean if all was equal in terms of your physical stature?
So it's a load of crap, man. I think it's some old mythological thing.
It's too subjective.
Comes from boxing. Basically, if you compare skill sets, if they were both the same weight, whose skill set would come out on top? So it's like talking about who would win fights with fucking Superman versus Batman. Do you know what I mean? It's
the other thing is they weren't the same weight. That's just facts. The guys were not the same weight when they fought. So, but I think we all got a bit of a treat with that one, because we get two guys who are at the absolute top of the sport. Probably two guys that are fighting at their peak at this moment in time, or close to it, which very, very rarely happens. So I think we were all treated, and I think overall it's a really good card. So whether we see it again, I don't know, but it was a good fight to watch, and it was a treat for the fans, really.
Aye, they're both guys that you want to watch fight again as well. So they're excellent. They're good.
Now, moving on to more domestic matters. So we've got a few guys who I want to we'll go with Chris Duncan first. Obviously, being on the Contender, he's now going to be fighting March on the upcoming UK card. He fights Omar Bryce. Thoughts on this one for Chris?
Obviously glad he's matched because he had that original fight with Figlak, I think, and he pulled an injury, and then obviously Chris is away at American Top Team doing his camp, so it would have been a bit of a fucker for him not getting to fight. He's obviously the guy fights for a living. He's got a family, so he needs to be. If he's not fighting, he's not making money, and he'll be desperate to get that UFC career started. I think the fact it's in London's probably a bonus for him. I think if you asked him where he wanted to fight for his first one, London would probably be up there, like local. So his pals and that can go down and watch him and shit. I don't know massive amounts about the guy he's fighting. I think I've seen him fight. He's not like I think Baraz is fighting for his UFC career here. He's a guy that come off the Contender as well. He lost to Chikadze, but he's on a 2-fight skid now, and I think it's he got choked out and then TKO'd. So it's a big fight for this guy and against Chris as well, because a third loss at this. Aye. Plus, if he fought at Giga, then it means he's a featherweight. He's fought down at featherweight. I know he's a lightweight, but Chris is a big lightweight, do you know what I mean? So that's going to be a problem for the guy straight away. Just a big physical, imposing, hard punching featherweight, lightweight. Sorry. So I think it's. Do you know? He looks for what I've seen him. The guy looks like a bit of a poorer version of Chris. Do you know what I mean? He's not technically brilliant anywhere. He's relatively competent offensively. He's not got great defence. He's been pinged about. I think I see him getting knocked out. Going the distance with Giga Gagaj is not too bad a thing, but to be fair, but again, he might have just been a wee bit bigger than him. It's probably a good fight for a man just to get the ball rolling. Do you know what I mean? It's there's pressure on both those guys. You want to win your debut, like that's a big thing. It's not like the olden days where if you drop 2 fights, they'll chop you. You can see the strength of their schedule now, where they've got 45 shows a year, means that they're keeping fighters on a wee bit longer. Look at Sam Alvey. Do you know what I mean? He's fucking losing all the time, and there's been other guys like that. So that pressure's not the same as it used to be. Like it used to be, if you lost 2, the next fight was a must win.
Playing the mind of a fighter though, that knowing that you're on that 2-fight skid, because that must still be psychologically something you're thinking about.
Even when you're winning fights in the UFC, that shit plays on your mind. Like it's so they can do whatever the fuck they want. Do you know what I mean? If they don't like you, they'll let you know about it and stuff. But it definitely does. We've had fighters in that position before, going into fights where you need to win, and it can also make you fight different as well. I think that guy's also like 38 years old. Do you know what I mean? He's not young. There's certain divisions like heavyweight and that you could probably get away with that, but at lightweight, 38 is fucking a dinosaur. So the age thing, the fact that he's coming off 2 losses, the fact that he's actually fought at featherweight before and coming to London, all of that bodes well in Chris's favour, I think. So it's pretty much just going to be up to him to get in there and do what he needs to do. But hopefully he's been working on his defence and stuff like that when he's been away, because he did get hurt off in the Contender off that Slavakos guy, and he did get hurt in that last fight with the kid for Bellator, the 6-1 guy that he knocked out. Mind, he was hurt before he knocked him out. So he doesn't want to be taking too much of that shit, man. You can't be doing it every fight. You can't be getting hurt and then coming back every fight. It's a short career, that. So, but I'd imagine the occasion and stuff like that will bring the best out of him, and I can see Chris probably knock that guy out.
And it's a great card to be on. Though it's a pay-per-view, it's Usman Edwards. It's a good card to be on. And the UK cards are always great, and the crowds are always, more often than not, fantastic here.
I think that crowd will be in early as well. It's not like, do you know, in some of these American shows when you're on the prelims, there's no crowd and they come in for the main card. But I think that London crowd will be busy early doors, so it'll be cool. It's a good venue, that O2 as well.
That's what happens when in America, when you're spoiled for cards all the time, when you're in places like Australia, UK, the crowds turn up because they know it's not something you get to go to every other weekend.
Aye.
And then we've got obviously Reece McKeown coming up with Cage Warriors. Chris Bungard will come up as well. We spoke about that in the past. And we've got Aidan Stevens. So I think we'll go with, speak about Aidan first. Aidan's coming in against, I think, OJ's had one fight in Cage Warriors, but he's on a 4-fight winning streak. Big fight for Aidan, this.
Aye, that weight division at Cage Warriors is kind of like that's their marquee division, the featherweight with the Chenik and Hughes and Sherrier and stuff, and Hariola as well. So I think what they seem to be doing with Aidan is they know he's very good, and it's almost like they use him as a. If you get past it, look at the names that they've gave him. They bring guys in the game and almost use Aidan as a gatekeeper, which isn't fair sometimes. But it's also a compliment that as well. Do you know what I mean? If you can get past Aidan, then you're probably not going to make a bit of run there. But the kid he's got, is it Matthew Calminari or something like that?
Calminari, I've messed up the name, and it actually is. This is his first fight in Cage Warriors.
So he's coming for FCC. Callum Mullen was trying to get fights with him, the kid that comes up to us to train.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good fighter, that kid. He's a next generation guy, so he's in a good gym with a lot of other good guys running about that weight, obviously. And it looks like Ian Dean's plan is just they'll give him a very hard test right out the gate with Aidan, and then take it for there. Like, I think Aidan got Hariola for his Cage Warriors debut. He got that Sonez guy that was 11-1 at the time, and Aidan beat him. So it looks like that's what they're thinking. So I think Aidan is actually down at ours next week for a week to train and stuff. So I'll catch up with him then. But if Aidan turns up on the night, that's going to be a good fight, man. Aidan's a very good grappler. These next generation guys are pretty good grapplers, so it'll be an interesting fight. I mean, I think it's good. I've not seen a lot of that kid other than I had a quick look at him when Callum Mullen was going to fight him. Obviously, I've seen most of the Aidan stuff, so there could be some really good exchanges in that fight on the ground. Aidan's got some nice striking. He strings his punching, his kicking together well. He's quite happy to stay in the pocket and throw and stuff like that. So it might just come down to who imposes their game first.
Quite be said as well. It is an opportunity for Aidan to get yourself back on track and get yourself back moving in the division. He's had a wee bit of a stumbling block, but the opportunity's there for him to progress. He's got the skills, he's got the ability.
That kid Aidan can beat just about anybody in that division on the day. Do you know what I mean? He's been in with the best guys in the division. He's had that Paul Hughes fight. He had the Hariola fight when nobody else wanted it. He had that Sonez kid who's went away. I think he's away down he's somewhere else. I can't remember where he went to. He's on a bigger show now. He's moved on. But
is that something you need to look at as well, James? Though you've got to look at not just records, but who the guys are fighting.
Definitely. It's why you get so much shit kicked up about these guys that are padding their records. Like Aidan has been fighting the best featherweights in Europe for the last couple of years, and if he's been adapting and learning for their fights and getting better in between them, he should be pressing on. Like Aidan realistically strings 3 fights together. Wins this, another one, he puts himself in title contention if Paul Hughes or that move on. Do you know what I mean? He's not far away from it. I don't know what he's been doing up. It's hard for him because they're so far out the way. Do you know what I mean? They've got good, very good grappling up there with SPGA. There's good boxers and good kickboxers and stuff there, but he's not got like a head MMA coach, Aidan. It's like he'll probably end up making a very good MMA coach one day himself. But he's very talented, man. And he's experienced the big amateur record and stuff. So it'll be a good fight, that one. I think it's definitely a 50-50. And it'll just come down to who can get their game working first. I wouldn't be so. I could see Aidan subbing that kid. I could see that kid maybe catching Aidan with something. But if Aidan turns up and puts his stuff together, he's more than capable of beating just about anybody at featherweight at Cage Warriors. Yeah,
and staying on Cage Warriors, obviously Rhys McEwen, who's had a fantastic run in Cage Warriors now. He's fighting Dejus, I think, is the age there. What do you think? I mean, Rhys has got to be pretty close to a title. He's got to be there or thereabouts. Is another win enough?
I thought he was going to get Fletcher or the Irish kid. I think the Irish kid, Loughlin's probably going to get a champion, which means I don't know what the deal is with Fletcher, but this seems like I can't see Rhys having any trouble with this guy. I think it's a jiu-jitsu guy he's fighting. Like I think if you keep feeding him jiu-jitsu guys, he'll steamroll him. He's going to be a better wrestler than this kid. I can't see the guy subbing him for guard. He looks like a guard guy.
It's either looking at his record, a couple of ground and pounds, triangles. It's all either decisions or submissions.
I can't see that style's not really going to trouble Rhys. Where he's going to run into troubles when he can't get his wrestling working and he's left on the feet, and then he has to take it from there with somebody who can hit hard and who's got layers to their striking game. But I think he'll be comfortable with this one, and then I don't think it'll give him a title shot because the guy's not like a recognised guy with a running Cage Warriors. I think it gives him puts him on that sort of 4-fight winning streak at Cage Warriors. It builds the record up again, and then they'll need to give him a risk at a harder fight, probably before the title shot, or if the title shot comes vacant and for whatever reason, you have to imagine Fletcher and Loughlin's ahead of Rhys now in the pecking order for that title shot.
There is also the story though, with obviously Rhys and Loughlin have already fought, so there's that built into it as well.
I think with Loughlin beating Shanks, but pretty much signed him a title fight. Whether that happens in Dublin or whatever, I think he's going to end up fighting an Italian kid, which is why I kind of assumed he'd be getting Fletcher. But I think I don't think Loughlin will need to fight again before he fights for the belt. I think he'll just go straight to the belt now, just because of the last couple ones. And his performances as well, so it'll be interesting. But I think Rhys will be comfortable with that guy. It gives him more time just to keep getting better in the gym and stuff like that, and then he'll be ready when these harder fights come.
And just finally, then, your very own Keir Harvey. He's matched obviously on Bellator, so
he's out of Bellator.
He's out?
He's pulled. Yesterday he's got a staph infection, so his knee blew up. He went into hospital and they put him on an IV drip, kept him in for a couple of days. He's came out. Bellator's been informed actually they've rematched Kieran Clark with a Brazilian guy, so Keir's out. He's went for, it's a bit of a fucker from him, obviously. He was meant to be opening the main card on Bellator Dublin. He's got a very good pay. One-off fight with the usual shit with the chances of getting like a multi-fight deal and stuff like that. But he was getting paid main card kind of purses, no like undercard purses. unfortunately he's had to pull out with a staph infection. It's unfortunate, but it's just one of those things. It's part and parcel of the game. I'd imagine just about any fighter that's been training any length of time, it's had some, whether it's the staph or cellulitis or ringworm or stuff. But he pulled yesterday, he was in hospital Monday and Tuesday. He was actually in the gym on Friday, and we were like, you better go and get that seen to. And they've kept him in, so you know what it's like now with the NHS and stuff. If they're keeping you in hospital, there's something bad. So he's out, and I think he's on antibiotics till Saturday. So he did toy with the idea of just finishing the antibiotics and then turning up on fight week, but he lost training time. He trained like the other day, and he's basically saying he was gassing at fucking walking the dog on these antibiotics. And his style, Keir's style is kind of based on his conditioning. He's just on you the whole time. He's just relentless, making you work. So he's young. The opportunities will come again for him. He'll be away. He'll be away fucking feeling sorry for himself now. But he's a hard worker, Keir, man. So there'll be stuff comes. You know what I mean? He's fought in the UFC a bunch. He's been on Cage Warriors and these shows like PFL and Bellator and that are obviously becoming a bit more prevalent here. So there'll be opportunities for him. He's still got a lot of time on his side.
So is it one of the ones where you just need to say to him, look, there's no point getting into a fight against an opponent like that if you're compromised? Like, obviously, there's always going to be niggling injuries, but something like that where it's staph, your antibiotics, obviously, it's like you say, the way Keir fights. It's just...
there's certain things you just can't push through, and that's one of them. It's also the fact you just can't train, like, because you can pass that. We could have passed that on to other people. Do you know what I mean? It's contagious, that shit. So, he's had to make that decision. But he's been in just about every fight he's had. He's been in with some kind of niggle, like most fighters do, go in with something and kind of just hope the adrenaline will make them forget it. But that thing with the staph thing, it just affects everything, like your central nervous system, your respiratory system, and everything gets it just because of the antibiotics and stuff. So he doesn't want to, as much as it was the biggest opportunity in his career and stuff like that, you want to give a good account of yourself with these. Yep. It's like he could have went in there fully fit and still lost the fight, but he could still be like, I fucking done everything I could. I've turned up on the night, and whereas he's pretty much gone in there where the camp wasn't great, and then the staff, he wouldn't have been able to train last week. He would be on antibiotics all this week. Turns up and makes weight next week, and then like that. He's not going to give like anywhere near like a true account of himself there. And it's unfortunate, but it's one of those things.
No, that's it. I guess it's just a live to fight another day scenario.
He's got time, man. He's early 20s. It'll all come back for him.
So he's no an old cunt like us then?
Nah, he's no. I still have to go with.
Oh well, I'm in the 40 club now, so.
Hey.
Not fucking downhill for here. But, so we'll wrap up on that. So the next time we reconvene for a show, I might have a slight suntan, and you might have a bit more grey hair.
Oh, another two babies, and you'll have a tan. Two other wee screaming babies in this.
I know. Oh well. Oh well. It is what it is, mate. It's fucking life, nice and fun. Keeps you on your toes.
Aye, definitely. Make sure you enjoy that holiday.
I will do, mate. Thanks everybody for tuning in.